Hey everybody, we back again.
We back.
I'm Spencer, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Hello, people. Hello, humans. Hello, humans.
That's different than people. You're right.
It is.
You're right. All right, this is the Different Spectrums podcast where we talk about movies, shows, and the mental health aspects that surround them. That's right. We also like to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously.
She doesn't. Or
You have no
don't, or
idea what
do,
to say now.
whatever. We're gonna make jokes. Just laugh with us.
There you go. Also, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it.
Okay.
Already going great. All right. So for today, we have a very special guest. She's an author and also a neurodiversity affirming consultant. Please welcome Dr. Alondra Rogers.
Hello. Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here, you guys.
Awesome. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes. And before we get to what we're going to be showing for today, go check out our great collaborators. We have a few of them. Nice big list here. Bub's Naturals, Cure Hydration, Pinfinity, Silver Dollar Candle, Two Nerds Candle Company, Cat and Raven Company, and then also our new one, Toink Toys.
Toink.
Great name.
I actually do know that toy brand.
Oh, well, there you go. See, look at that.
I
bought a Killer Clowns popcorn gun.
Oh,
for the plug there.
There you go.
See,
shout out to Toink.
I got some
yeah, and so for today, go check out our link tree as well. Because you can get up to 20% off all of those great collaborators of ours. And all you have to do is click on the link or use the code DSP or DSP20, depending on which one you choose. So go check them out and buy some stuff. Buy it. Yes. All right. So for today, we are going to be talking about Bird Box on Netflix. Yes. So we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about trauma. We're also going to be talking about a little bit of motherhood in there, a little bit. And then we're also going to talk about being disconnected, right? So we have a few things to talk about. And with that, Nas, anything before we get into the show?
Well said, man. We got some topics to talk about, specifically the whole genre around trauma. And Alondra wanted us to touch on that, and excited to get into that. It's going to be more, not so much of the funny ha pods, because it's going to be a little bit more serious anytime we touch on trauma. So be prepared for that. None of the scenes are graphic, but trigger warning. We are going to be talking about trauma, how that affects the body. So people should be prepared for that. But specifically how it affects, like, yourself, maybe generational trauma, like we just talked about in the last pod last week. And then also how it could reverberate through you, through your mind, body, and then possibly go on to your children, how that can cause a change in relationships moving forward throughout life, and kind of identifying it, working with it, thinking about it, right? And so we're going to hopefully tie up a lot of strings here, and we'll see where it goes. I'm excited.
All right.
Let's talk. I want to be funny, but I can't, because this is not a funny topic. Like, it's like, oh.
I just want to say that the funniest people I know are all traumatized.
Well, we want to be funny. It's just hard to be like, we're going to have some fun. And then they like murder.
Straight up murder.
Yeah. Don't open your eyes, because them spirits going to get you now.
Jesus?
Yeah. There's that Holy Ghost. That's what, no, see, that doesn't even feel good to say, because the topic, they're all killing themselves. So, yeah. So, it's, yeah, I'm done. Let's get into the scene.
Woof, woof.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Say whoop, whoop.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof.
You even said.
Whoop, whoop. Oh my God, my blood pressure. Almost passed out.
And this
Do
is
we
where
need some
he
medication?
passes
Yes.
out.
I need to crush it up and snort it real quick. It's the fastest way.
Oh my God. Why would you do
Well,
that?
that's a fast method. You're going to get it right
It
to the
is,
bloodstream.
right in the
Why
bloodstream.
would you say
It's the quickest
you're
way.
an idiot?
That's all sarcasm, people. Please do not crush up your medicines and
It's
snort
not
them.
sarcasm.
Okay, let's get into the scenes.
Hey everyone, I wanted to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Two Nerds Candle Company. Not only do they have great products, but they are also giving back to a great cause. You can tell that they take a lot of pride in making their candles. My favorite is Spock's Monday Coffee. They are also donating 10% annually to support Women in STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. You can use our code DSP or go to our link tree to get 20% off your entire order. We think that this company is great, and we think you will too. So go check them out.
Asshole.
I was listening to that.
Yeah, so were the people down the street. The store was packed. This thing seemed serious. Wow, you literally have no food.
What thing? What thing?
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Turn on the news, dum-dum.
Dum-dum. What channel, Dum-dum?
Any one of them.
Airports and train stations have shut down. Streets are crowded with people escaping cities by car and on foot as witnesses report unexplained mass suicides. First recorded in Romania, there's now an alarming spread of incidents into Europe and Siberia. Estimated death toll is in the tens of thousands.
Don't yet know what is causing the mass suicides in Europe and Russia. The eyewitness reports tell of people exhibiting psychotic behavior. Our sources are telling us this does not appear to be pathological or viral, and U.S. authorities are advising the public to remain calm. There have been no officially confirmed
Well, it's in Russia, so.
Well, try telling that to the soccer moms fighting over bottled water. Speaking of which, I just got off the phone with Mom. How come I have to update her about you all the time?
Why do you guys have to talk about me at
Well,
all?
I'm sure not going to tell her about my life. So at 3 o'clock, I'm going to go check out an Arabian stud in Sausalito.
Oh, see, now that is a sentence you don't hear every day.
You want to come?
I can't. I've got my OB with Dr. Lapham.
Lapham, when?
God, why does your voice get so high when it gets excited?
How about I drive you?
No, I'm fine.
I can go in, we can maybe see the baby.
Or I can cancel the appointment. We can go see a horse.
No, fuck the horse.
Wow, such venom. What do you think?
I think I see a whole bunch of people sitting together, but they all feel incredibly lonely.
Well, the loneliness is just incidental. It's really about people's inability to connect.
Inability to connect to what?
Can you move?
Mallory,
I need you to move.
we've been through this. That's not how it's going to be for you. It's different with the baby. It's an immediate love affair.
It's not going to be that way for me.
Yes, it will.
No, ma'am.
You should be afraid of being alone, not of this. And what we really need to do is get you out into the real world with other people, not just stuck in this house all day. You never leave.
Why should I leave? I have you to get me groceries.
You have to move.
No, not moving.
Yes, you do.
Not moving.
Look, why?
Not moving. I love my
I
house.
know it took you a long time to find a studio you loved, and ever since Ryan left, you've gotten a lot more work done, but so fine, so no more roommates.
Ryan was not a roommate.
Turns out he kind of was. Anyway, can't raise a kid here. Where would you even put her?
How do you know it's a she?
Wishful thinking, I guess.
The end of the world makes us do things.
It's not the end of the world.
Really? It sure feels like it.
At the end of my deployment in Iraq, we were stationed at this village. Ordered to patrol the streets, make sure everybody was safe. Morning we saw this father walking with his 4 kids. So I pulled over to make sure everything was okay and to make sure he got wherever he was going safely. Come to find out he was walking his kids to school. In the middle of all that shit, all that chaos, he was walking his kids to school. So, We just followed him day after day. We escorted him. That just became our routine. And then at the end of our time, he gave me this when it was time to come back home. I like to think he's still walking his kids to school.
Mallory, look at me. Mallory, look at me.
Boy, girl.
Mallory.
Don't move. Stay right where you are. Don't move. Mallory, open. Boy, girl. Where are you? Come with me. Look at me. I need you. Just look at me.
Can I really take off my blindfold?
Boy!
It's safe?
No, that's not me! No. Keep your blindfold on! Boy, that's not real! Keep your blindfold on! Listen to me! Listen to my voice! This is my voice! Girl, come with me. Look at me. Take the blindfold off and look at me.
Isn't that dangerous if I look?
No, I'm right here. I'm right here. Do not take off your blindfold. Please listen to me. What? No. Girl, call out to me. Just call out to me, please. Just call out to me. Where are you? Boy, girl, where are you? Don't take my children. Do not take my children. Oh, baby, keep bringing. Keep bringing, baby. Come. Keep bringing. Come on. Keep bringing. Oh, my God. I got you. Where's girl? Girl! Where's girl? Where's girl?
She's scared of you.
What?
She's scared of you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sweet girl. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so hard. I shouldn't have stopped you from playing. I shouldn't have ended Tom's story because it wasn't finished. When he climbed to the very top of that giant oak tree, he saw the most beautiful things. He saw hundreds of children playing games. Hundreds. And he saw birds, all different colored birds. And I mean, he saw us. He saw us from the very top. He saw us together, and we have to be together. And it's not just a story. It's not. Because I have so much I want to show you. I have so much I want you to see. Okay? But we have to do it together, okay? So I just need you to come to me right now, okay? Please. Just come to me. Baby, come to me, okay? Oh. love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. We're gonna find the birds, okay? Find the birds. I want you to listen to the birds, okay? Listen for the birds. Okay, listen for the birds. Birds. Should we do that?
Wow, I'm so smart.
Mallory? Mallory Hayes?
Dr. Lapin.
What are your names?
Girl. Boy.
Actually, your name is Olivia. Yeah. Named after the sweetest girl I ever met. And your name? Your name is Tom.
Tom.
And I am your mother.
Would you like to come and play with the other kids?
Wanna go play? You wanna go play?
Hey, are you a nerd? Do you like pins? If you're like any of our followers and you said yes, you should check out our collaboration with Pinfinity. They have Power Rangers pins, Transformers pins, and for all of our bronies out there, My Little Pony pins. Go check out our Linktree or use our code DSP to get 20% off your Pinfinity order today. And we are back again.
We're back and we're live. Just as live as the chicken wings and spicy chili I ate last night that are coursing through my body. It's live and hot and piping ready. It ain't a good time. It's not a good time. I'm not having fun. Okay, let's start the show.
So, Alondra, welcome. Do you mind getting into a little bit about yourself? And what brings you to the show?
Trying not to laugh. Well, I was invited. So
There you go.
that's why I'm here.
That's all you need.
Yeah. So I am like Dr. Ness, I am a doctor of social work, and I started my career with therapy, kind of the traditional route that a lot of social workers who are interested in mental health go. And I found along the way that I really enjoy consulting, which is just a different model, different work. There is a lot of therapeutic work that you do there as well, but totally different purpose, totally different timelines. I really enjoy variety of getting to work with different kinds of clients. I work with autistic adults. I work with parents of autistic kids. I work with organizations, nonprofits, businesses, and kind of do whatever they are in need of. Okay. I also write. I have 2 books that are out there. Both of those books are written for parents of kids with differences and disabilities. So it's not autism centered. It's actually based on my dissertation, which was on self-care for parents of kids with disabilities. I am almost finished with another book. that is kind of a unique, hopefully useful tool for people in neurodivergent communities. It is a shadow work journal. So shadow work is trying to find those repressed parts of yourself, memories or events that are shaping your behavior now, and integrate that into your whole. Very Jungian archetypes and cool stuff. And what I have found is that shadow work doesn't account or allow for neurodivergent traits. So if you're looking at, your motivations to do things as an indicator of some repressed part of yourself, and you're not considering that maybe some of your reactions are because of sensory differences or traumas that you know about, and you have PTSD, for example, if you're not considering those, then your trauma work is, your shadow work is going to be insufficient.
What are the names
that's what I'm working on.
What are the names of the books?
The two books that I have out right now, they are both called Thriving Together. One is a workbook, and you can get them both on Amazon. They're both on Kindle as well. And the book that I'm working on right now is called Meeting Myself in the Dark, a guided shadow work journal for neurodivergent souls. And that will be out in December.
I will plug them into our link tree under book recommendations. And so you'll be under our authors that we recommend. I'll put all three in there.
Okay. Awesome.
Sweet. And so how did you really get into the field of neurodivergency?
Well, I'm late diagnosed. So I have always spent my life being different. And I'm sorry, I'm very distracted.
I'm sorry, we'll stop. It just everyone was touching the glasses, so I had to do it. I'm such a mimicker.
Okay, but I'm actually,
I'm sorry.
Hold on. I just wonder if you know who this person is.
Here it fucking comes.
Do you know who this person is?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what? Someone who been in the news for a while now.
He's a good-looking guy. He looks like a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have said that.
What?
Well, I mean, I guess
I'll delete it.
Yeah. If he's your type.
I mean, hey, you know what? Don't need birth control.
Can you tell me where you got the BCGs, the birth control glasses?
I would love to know what library you got your glasses at. What book were you renting? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I have library cards in 3 counties. So.
How many cats made sure your glasses were clean? 3? Because I know you got 3.
How do you know?
I did my research.
Oh shit!
That's right.
I do have 3 cats.
I know you do.
Yeah,
calm down. Now. I got some shit on you.
Yeah, man, you're coming off.
Shit.
Well, that's also that kind of stalker serial killer in him. He does his research, I guess.
Hey, watch it now.
Jesus. And so, just to be clear, who was that individual that we're obviously having some fun of, and we obviously don't condone any of that shit. But what was the person's name?
The Jeffrey Dahmer.
So that's Dahmer. So I thought when you showed us that photo that was someone else. You said there's a difference in these 2 white guys. What was the other white guy's name?
The other white guy that I think we were joking about earlier was Theodore Bundy, Ted Bundy.
Okay.
Also a white dude of a similar era.
Yeah, there you go. So I get him mixed up.
Though.
There you go.
He does not have the cool glasses.
Jeffrey had better glasses. I did find a picture of Nas. Actually, it's a lovely potato.
I'm glad it's not showing up.
Hold on. There we go. Here we go. There it is.
I'm not good.
You got
That's
the
so
spuds
fucking
and everything.
close. I
But
know.
you're happy.
I'm telling
You're
you,
a happy potato.
He's a
I'm
happy
telling you.
potato.
If you fry me up, I'll eat it.
Put some sour cream. You're good.
Shit, girl.
Now I feel like we're going back to Jeffrey Dahmer, a little cannibalism there.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
well,
Yep. Condolences to everyone.
Oh my.
Oh, we're getting canceled off of this one. Okay. Pivot. Well, this brings us up kind of what we were talking about in the movie, where we got these violence and white folk doing crazy shit.
Okay. Is it white people killing people?
Well, the whole world. We're talking specifically. It's sad to hear about all the things that happen. Trigger warning for the future of the conversation. Like I said, of people living in fear, living in trauma, and we talked about like how that shooting in Maine happened. People got to be in scared trauma states. Me and Spence just talked about on last week's podcast. The Jewish community being scared, Arab community being scared. Our last guest is Jewish, and they said going metal detectors in their synagogue, right? I mean, I grew up with metal detectors in my high school, so that was just the thing. So it's new to them. This is an old thing to me. So things with like shooting and gun violence, to me, it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. There's shootings at my football games. It's kind of it's scary to live in those things, but you don't realize that you're being traumatized because you just live with it. But in actuality, it lives throughout your body. It changes the way you act and perceive things. And so this kind of segues into the topic that you wanted is, how do you live and deal with this trauma that's all around you all the time? Do you dissociate? Do you disconnect? What do you do? Do you advocate? Do you protect your children? Who knows? I don't know. So that's what we're going to get into. And sorry, obviously we had some fun, some jokes, but I wanted to give us a really good transition into this. It's interesting, this Bird Box. So, right, when you first showed me the clips, I'm figuring we're going just like a parenting type of thing and like loving your kids, and you're like trauma. And I was like, shit, you're right. So I'm gonna toss it back over to Spence to kind of lead the discussion, and then we're just gonna have some fun.
Yeah. Do you want to give us like just a brief overview of what Bird Box is before we get into the scenes?
Yeah. So Bird Box is, I guess, a post-apocalyptic drama.
Mm-hmm.
And it centers on main character Mallory, who is at the beginning of there's two timelines of the film. There's the now, which she's responsible for two children. And then there's the previous timeline, which is 5 years prior, when what I will call the very bad thing has happened. And it's about how she survived through all of that and the people around her who survived or did not, and the efforts to stay alive. And then she's got these two little children with her this entire time.
Yep.
And so when we talk about trauma, what really kind of speaks to you in the scenes that we just watched?
There's so much to me watching it as a mom, and I know you guys aren't parents, so I'm curious at how you feel. To me, it feels incredibly emotional. Just all of it. And I particularly, when Tom is telling that story, it's so poignant about how important he understands this to be. He understands what he's seeing is so important, that in the midst of absolute chaos and war, there is just a man trying to get his kids to school, to keep them doing what is normal and good for them, and trying to keep them safe by being there physically. Mm-hmm. And you can even go a little bit further and talk and think about the representation of, Tom as a soldier, was a soldier. If you want to think about him as representing the country. It's like, that's sort of what we are told that is the US's job, right? That's always how it's presented. No matter what we actually do, it's presented as we are guardians, that we're protecting people. That, of course, is not always the case, but it does give you some of that like warm, caring, wholesome masculinity. That's what Tom represents in the movie to me, is that wholesome masculinity. He cares for people, he keeps them safe. Ultimately, he pays a huge price to keep them safe. And so in that particular scene, that was, out of the whole movie, that was the thing that struck me the most. Mallory has, so that's the character played by Sandra Bullock, who, I don't know, if you ever see her in public, just stay away, because obviously very bad things happen to her all the time. Don't ride a bus with her.
Okay.
Jesus.
Where's that meme I sent you about Sandra Bullock?
You did send me one. Also, if you're a football player, better not make sure she tries to be your mom. So she's probably stealing your money.
No, she is gonna take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal all your money.
Yeah.
All right.
So I assume that this is fake, but let me just throw this in here for a little bit of levity. I don't think that Sandra Bullock actually posted this, but it's Sandra Bullock with a piñata, and it just says, "Stop sending me this." Like it's a tweet from Sandra Bullock. Anyway,
it's actually
if you're out there, you run into her, just go the other way. So at the beginning of the clips that we showed,
yeah,
you see what Mallory's life is like right before the very bad thing happens. And she's completely isolated. She is self-isolated. She's in her own world. She's painting, which I think like the symbolism of that painting that she's made is quite interesting, because if you look at it, it's a rendition of the Last Supper, with her in the position of Jesus. It's very interesting. And then there's all these people who are present and together, but not paying any attention to each other. And that is her. That's how she lives her life. She's disconnected. And that's a theme that you see her connect with Tom. And it takes so much for her to let her guard down eventually to connect with the kids, who she calls boy and girl. She can't even bring herself to name them.
Intense, right?
Yeah.
Intense. Spence, real quick. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to kick to Spence for a question. When you saw that picture of the Last Supper, what does that make you think of? Everyone's at the dinner table and like, right, no one's paying attention to each other. What does that make you think of about, I don't want to lead you.
What does it make me think of? Just in general?
I mean, just in general. You see everyone at the dinner table, but none of them paying attention. They're very all disconnected from each other.
You could always say like Thanksgiving or something like that, just being like, you're there, but you're not really there, because it's just like, for some people can have that interpretation, because sometimes families are just more disconnected when they're together than when they're apart. So sometimes that's the case, sometimes not, but I would have to say in my personal life, I probably have to say that family get-togethers weren't always like the most wholesome connected things, right? Because sometimes it's a forced relationship instead of kind of you wanting to be there. So yeah,
valid. I was also going for, it makes me think about just our day and age with our cell phones, and so everyone talks about being disconnected. And I'm like, go people. And they're like, no, I talk to people all the time. I said, do you talk to people in real life? No, I don't talk to anyone in real life. But there's communication and connection.
That's exactly what I would think as well, is that more and more our lives, and especially when this movie came out, when did it come out?
I think it's at 18.
About 2020, maybe 2021, I think.
If it came out in 2020, then that
I believe it did. I believe it did because it was around that same time.
It was before it was 18.
Oh, was it?
What?
Yeah.
We live a life more and more disconnected. Like, we have this connectivity where we can see curated parts of people's lives, and viral marketing campaigns from corporations, but the actual connection that we make to each other is limited, and it's becoming more limited. And that would be definitely something that I saw when I was thinking about that painting, is a whole bunch of people, and even some of them, their body positions look like they're looking at phones. I don't think there are any phones in the painting, but they look like they are, hunched over looking at phones.
Paying attention to something else. So that's what it made me think about, being so hyper connected, but also disconnected, not building community, being scared, socially anxious. As we know, after the pandemic, all the studies and research show that anxiety and OCD is dramatically increased since the pandemic from all isolation, and people trying to reconnect and make friends, especially those younger children that are in high school and middle school. It greatly impacted their social skills. Now you take some neurodivergent kids, and it was like heaven for some folks because they didn't have to communicate and they didn't have to worry about those things. But it might have also stunted some connectedness or like ability to socialize and have skills. So it's got its pros and its cons. I thought that was cool to talk about. But when I was picking up that scene and I saw that you suggested that one, it felt very, I want to talk about this because my boy, my best friend, he thought the same thing. She feels very disconnected, very emotionless, kind of like neurodivergent in some ways, right? Not because we're not all the same, but she's like very artistic, keeps to herself, doesn't really contact family members or parents that much. It sounds like there's some trauma because of that, not because they're neurodivergent. And it reminded me of Colin Spence and like telling me and you, like, I'm scared to be a shitty dad. I'm scared that because I don't talk much at all, that their kid's going to think that I don't love them. And Spencer's like, dude, you just got to play with the kid, man. Me and Spencer are like, just play with the kid. You're going to be fine. Like, give them attention. And he might not be talking a lot to the kid, right? But he is like playing and engaged, and they're doing stuff. He's like the best dad ever. Yeah. But I can see that with a lot of neurodivergent folks. Maybe they're worried. And whenever I'm like, hey, dude, I think you got autism. Like, we're diagnosing. And they're like, I don't know. What does this mean? I don't want to have kids because I don't want to pass this along. But also, will I be able to connect with them? I'm like, yeah, you're connecting with humans right now. Why wouldn't you connect with your kid? Well, I got autism. I'm like, bro, that's not what autism is. Just not being able to connect. And so do you have any words to preach to like young ones I talk to about being a parent, being on the spectrum, and just being connected, emotions, feelings? Is there any myths that maybe you come with, like parents ask you like about this type of stuff?
Yeah. I think that my generation represents kind of a change because there are so many people in the same situation that I found myself in, which was I did not know that I was autistic. I did not know that I had ADHD until I had a child who was diagnosed. I knew I was different, and I attributed that to other things. Like, I thought, my trauma history and my depressive disorder and my anxiety are what I was seeing. And that has changed so many people's lives. I know probably 100 women just like me.
Yep.
But also men. My husband also was late diagnosed. Interestingly, when you delve back, when I talked to his mom is like, oh yeah, when he was in grade school, they tried to refer him to special ed and I moved him schools. because she thought it was an insult.
My dad did the same thing with Salim. He did the same thing with me. Right.
Yeah.
He said, my kid don't need to be in special ed. I didn't necessarily need to be. It's just hard for me to read because of the dyslexia and ADHD. But continue.
Yeah. So I think that honestly, most of the time that I hear people say, I'm afraid, well, to think about having kids if you are autistic, it's usually not from autistic people. It's usually other people saying, you know, if you have a disability, then don't make more disabled people. But I very strongly think that we should have neurodivergent people in the world, because without us, without them, we lose so much value. So yeah, please go make your autistic babies.
Go make them babies.
Yeah, that's what causes autism. It's not the vaccines, making the babies. And I would say, if you are worried about that, if you're worried about how do I connect, you're going to be okay. Because the people who are not parenting their children well think they're doing a bang up job. You know, they are not worried about it. If you are concerned that you're not going to be properly connected, you're going to be doing work to make sure that you are. You just are. And I don't want to make like the platitudes or the generalizations that, you know, you have a kid and you have all these automatic feelings, because not everybody does. But most people I know feel very connected to their children, and that bond only gets stronger. If you happen to have a child and that doesn't happen for you, hey, that's what therapy's for. That's what therapy's for.
Yep.
And that's good for you, and it's good for your child. And your connection is going to be different. How you parent a neurodivergent child is going to be different. For you, how you do the job as a neurodivergent person is going to be different, and how your kid receives it is going to be different, and that's okay. So not everybody is going to do it the same way, but the advice is, you know, always do it with love. Always do it from, my advice is like radical acceptance. Whatever your kid does is okay, and you're going to work with it. I think so much conflict and hand-wringing from parents of neurodivergent kids, whether they are themselves neurodivergent and don't know it, or actually really aren't, which is a very small percentage. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, shit. You good. I was like, damn, that's dramatic effect right there, boy. They're making us wait. Oh, she's doing the Jesus praise.
Yeah, it's going to come back.
He has returned.
Yeah, risen.
Okay. Wow.
If not, I got something for us. Oh shit! Then now I don't forgot what the hell I was about to say. God Jesus. Damn
it! You're messing.
No, I'm for real. We were talking about parents. Oh, and then you're helping us navigate that radical acceptance, love, and affirming and validating. Here it is. Suspense.
I remember.
Oh, there we go.
So, if people would just accept what's going on instead of trying to fight it. If parents are, you know, whatever, my kid has after school restraint collapse. They come home from school, they've been fine at school all day. They come home and they are in tears, meltdown for an hour. Everything's difficult. And I want to fix it. I want to change everything. And you can hear from that conversation that they are not accepting that their kid is having a problem. They want their kid to just not have a problem instead of accepting it and accommodating it and doing what needs to be done to make changes. You cannot expect your kid to change. And in conflict, when parents and autistic kids or otherwise neurodivergent kids have a conflict, the thing that I see as a consultant over and over is that the parent wants the child to change.
Mm-hmm.
And my question, my Socratic method, is who do you think is more likely to be able to change?
Valid.
Is it your 8-year-old or you?
Yeah.
And it's very hard. Change is very hard. And when you start looking at yourself and seeing, what do I need to do to change? And you see how hard it is, then it makes a whole lot more sense as to why you are the person who has to do it and not your
To make accommodations.
15-year-old, 10-year-old, your 5-year-old.
Yep. That makes sense, to make accommodations. Spence, this makes me think of that, the movie, the show that me and you did. I almost said BB Rexa. The Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah, Welcome to Wrexham. Yep.
And right, you saw that love and connectedness, and he said, "My child's different, man, but we find our ways." He said, "I knows what he's thinking, but even though he can't speak, I know what he's thinking."
Yeah.
And so that was quite lovely, where the dad finding his child's needs, the mom with the young daughter that was on the spectrum, is not only did she find a way to navigate those things with the child, but also the sports, the professional soccer team found a way to help them survive and thrive, and other neurodivergent people at that stadium. Like, that's pretty cool, man, making sure that we actually got real equity for some folks, and hopefully more parents continue to do that. I like that you tied it together. If you're worried about these things, you're probably going to be very good at being nurturing and caring, because you're already thinking about it. The people, you're right. I say this with OCD clients all the time, is the people that don't do shit, or they're not worried and anxious. They're just doing it, having a blast and hurting people and being bigoted, or they don't care. They're doing those things. They don't care. The fact that you care means that it's already, you've identified the issue. You're going to fix it. I like that. So I'll have Spence. Oh, it thinks I have a question. God damn it. I need to turn this off. Spence, navigate us through maybe some of the other questions that you have for the other scenes and like trauma and stuff.
Yeah. So, we just watched, especially with the last scene of the movie that we watched, finally being able to really connect with her children, and really try to, really even like just having a breath, finally to relax and even maybe, work on herself a little bit. What do you kind of say to those who are going through like those hard times, and they just don't have the time for that breath of air? Like, what do you say to those people?
I actually wrote 2 books.
There you go.
That answer that question, because when I was a younger mom, when I had a toddler and she was so portable and easy, I really was struck at the conversations that I saw other parents of kids, autistic kids. But I think it applies to parents of kids with any disability that, it's hard sometimes. You end up being so many different roles, and you can get pushed into survival. And if you stay there, the outcomes are not great. They're not great for anybody in the family. That's something that I think of as a central premise to the research that I read about, the research that I did, and what I wrote in my book, is that as the default parent, the primary parent, whether that be a mom, it often is, but in whatever configuration of the family, the primary parent, if that person is in crisis all the time, their whole family is in crisis all the time. So it is an imperative that you do find ways to get your own needs met. And I try to emphasize that because I know from experience how easy it is to put it down at the last item. When I get everything else done, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to whatever, go have mimosas with my friend or whatever. I'm gonna take a bubble bath tonight. Whatever the vapid self-care, those are all valid. It doesn't matter what it is. Making a dentist appointment. I have such a hard time making my own appointments because I make so many for my child. It's hard for me to be able to go do that. But if I don't do it, there are consequences.
Yep.
So step one is to realize your own value to your family. If you don't see that down the road, you can't maintain if you keep this up. You know, my dad used to say to me, because I am ADHD, I have ADHD as well as autism, and I cannot stop doing things. My dad used to always say, "You're burning the candle at both ends." And that didn't really impact me until motherhood. I used to just be, you know, a go-getter, an achiever. Yeah. When I had a kid, suddenly it was different. So step one, realize your value. Step two, you need support. You can't do it by yourself.
Yep.
And in the movie, Sandra Bullock's character is Mallory, and her male boyfriend partner is God, I can't remember the name of the actor. He's in Moonlight.
Oh yeah. Spence, this same actor from Moonlight is the same actor from Tyson. I just want to take a quick pause and just acknowledge on how good looking and buff he is.
Jeez. Oh yeah. He's a gorgeous man. He really is. And
my closet.
His name is Tom in the movie. And
hello, Tom.
Tom is the reason. Wait, what did I just miss?
I'm just over here saying that he's super attractive and hot, and I just said hello, Tom.
Oh, okay.
And
Spence just fell down.
Well, it's just an inside joke that you know that I'm gay, so it's an inside joke that I'm not right.
Not
but,
really a joke anymore. It's more of like real life. But
it's a thing, you know. When people are attractive, I say they're attractive. It's fine. And so it's just a little. I'm sorry that we distracted you, but yeah.
Okay. Well, yes, whatever his name is, I fail to remember. I am sorry. But yes, he's a beautiful man, and he's such a really wonderful character in this movie. Yeah. Because, you know, like I said before, wholesome masculinity.
Yep.
He's the support that keeps Mallory going.
Correct.
She's very independent and, you know, does a whole bunch of badassery herself, but she couldn't do it without him.
Yep.
And he is there taking care of her, taking care of the kids, you know, getting them what they need, saving them. I don't know how much of a spoiler it is. Can I do spoilers?
I don't care.
It's been like 5 years, so
yeah.
You haven't seen it, go see it. But maybe pause this part. So Tom is the only person that we see in the movie who is able to fight off the death drive, or whatever you want to call it, to kill himself long enough that he kills somebody else to save Mallory and the kids. He's the only person who is able to have any kind of control. The next closest would be Olympia, when she gives the baby to Mallory before she jumps out of the window.
Yep. So real quick, I'm gonna do a little pause.
Yeah.
So we see him being like this awesome, like individual, pretty masculine war hero. I would say hero. Anyone who goes to war is a hero, unless you're doing terrible shit. Just different point, different day. So you see him actually get really emotional and cry in that scene, the one that you wanted to show, because he wanted to protect those kids. He wanted to protect those kids, and he's terrible that this trauma is going around, and yet this man is just taking care of his kids. He's crying because he feels connected to that man, that the horrors of the world are happening around him, and yet that man is focused on just his kids. He's scared for the kids. He's scared for the world. He's thinking about himself and the kids. He's identifying with a bunch of different emotions, gets overwhelmed. And I really enjoy that scene because that's sometimes what happens with me in therapy is I get overwhelmed when I get protective. And I get protective, and you hear the stories and you're like, holy shit, how are they going to make it out of this? And then that's when some therapists will push their boundaries and they'll add more clients to their caseload, or they'll try to see the client even more, and it overloads them and it burns them out and they get tired and they get the vicarious trauma that you talked about. And so that want and drive to help everyone, to change the world is intense for some of us. And it can cause us to feel guilty if we don't save people, if we don't help people. It's the same thing like me in therapy with a lot of my neurodivergent clients. I know my other co-workers may not really understand autism or its comorbidities, the things that are going on. They might not be able to talk to the kid, right? I transferred someone, they said, oh, the kid's just high. Okay, the kid's high. They're also severely autistic. And I said sarcastically, severely. I'm like, they're autistic. Well, no, I think they were high. Okay, even if they were, it doesn't matter. The kid's autistic. That's why they're not able to talk to and communicate as good as possible. Give them a few fucking seconds. I tell you that story because I feel guilty if I don't see the clients. Because I know they may work with someone else that may do them harm.
Yeah.
And that is a heavy burden to carry that makes me kind of sick inside. Knowing that other people are harming folks and then I could be helping, but then I don't have enough room on my caseload, right? It gets, like you said, though, some therapists, especially if you're neurodivergent or anyone of color, any marginalized identity, we tend to take on too much work. We tend to work. Why? Because we want to prove ourselves to these white individuals, the professionalism. We have value because look at my output. Mm-hmm. And we lose focus and we don't take care of ourselves. Like you said, whatever fluffy thing there is could be, that bubble bath. It could be making that doctor's appointment. It could be playing video games. Spence loves music, basketball, whatever that little thing is. I get a lot of people to do art and creative and like reading and writing now, sewing, knitting, crocheting, whatever. Those things mean a lot. And I assume as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I parent and reparent a lot of children in college. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're screwed, right? You are so screwed. You're going to burn out, burn that candle from both ends. You're going to get really tired. Now your efficacy and ability to love goes down.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie. I'll wrap it up right after this. I'm not going to lie. When you think about the world and all the scary things that happen around it, if I start thinking about that shit, I get lost and I can't do my job. So if I start thinking about, my folks, Arab folks getting killed and murdered and slaughtered right now, if I start thinking about the murders of black body individuals, trans individuals, so I let it sleep in too far. If I watch the news too much, now it takes a hold of me. I become even more sad, more depressed. And saying that, I'm speaking faster because it's going fast. I know it's a very privileged thing to not have to watch the news because I get to choose to not watch it because it's not happening to me like Sandra Bullock. I'm already helping so many people, though. I'm helping so many people. To help even more is hard. Spence, there's someone like my dad, I told you, he's had some nightmares recently. And I told him, you got to turn the news off. You got to turn the news off, man. He was going to sleep to the news. And him being an Arab, right, and his father grew up and worked in Palestine, I'm like, dude, you got to turn the news off. This is not. And he said every night he's waking up with nightmares of being just burned. And some of his own traumas, too. He's got his own stuff. And it's scary. For a lot of neurodivergent folks, there's a high comorbidity of night terrors, nightmares, very vivid dreams. Why am I saying this? Be cautious of how much trauma you're taking in. Be cautious of your energy and your time, your overstimulation, because it will affect your dreams and it will affect you throughout the day. It will affect your parenting. It will affect friendships like me and Spence in the podcast. So everything that you spoke about in the books, I agree with all of it. But it's very real even for folks that aren't parents that watching, especially for folks that are parents, because now there is a human that it ain't a job. This human freaking depends on you. And so I just want to make sure I'm very privileged. You legitimately have to do the work and you have to be on your shit all the time. I don't have to worry about that. I can go home and not do anything.
Yeah,
Done.
it's being on all the time. It is really a challenge. And I can speak to that because my child is homeschooled. She doesn't go to school. I don't get that break. And I actually, in the workbook that I made, so the second of the two, I have a whole group of exercises and suggestions on self-care for people like me who can't get that break away from the house all the time. I wanted to just piggyback on what you were talking about like information boundaries, basically. I touch on that in my book because I think it's really important. My undergrad degree is in journalism. I'm naturally drawn to stories. I'm really, really interested in what's going on in the world. And I used to consume all kinds of media every day, and I cannot do that anymore because it is, it's traumatic. So one thing that I suggest in there, because I also want to acknowledge that as a white person, I'm incredibly privileged and I can easily turn off the news and live in a suburban bubble that I don't have to deal with those things. So I have, I believe I have an obligation to know what's going on because I have to do a few things with it. I need to, participate in democracy. And in order to do that, I have to be informed about what's going on and what, how is my government responding? And then I also need to, parent my child in the environment in which we live. So one of the ways that I do that I recommend to people is the New York Times has something that they put out every morning. It's called the morning newsletter. It used to be called something different. I can't remember, but it has like the top 5 stories of the day, and they're very truncated. So you can see what's happening without a whole lot of exposure to the details, unless you feel like you want to click on the story and read it.
Yep.
So that's what I do when things are really bad and I need a break, but I still feel that obligation that I need to know what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's like that for CNN too. They do a version like that, CNN, because I'll click on the app and then it'll have like a couple breakdowns of whatever's going on, right? So you can choose to click on it in summaries. I think that's the same thing on CNN's app, at least.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our show today. We just wanted to take some time to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Cat and Raven Design. They are a small queer-owned business that specializes in LGBTQ plus pride soaps. They have great designs, some that even look good to eat, but don't. You can get 10% off your entire order if you use the code DSP or go to our Linktree. Help support this great small business and help give back to a great community. Hey, this is your co-host Spencer, and I'm bringing you a special message from our collaborator, Silver Dollar Candles. They have great scents to go with great messages, just like Best Dad Ever, True Crime and Chill, and my personal favorite, When This Candle Is Lit, Give Me That. You can also make your own candle and message that fits you. So go use our link in our link tree to get your order placed with Silver Dollar Candles today.
I think that's really helpful because you get to have a bit more control over what are you seeing.
Consent.
Social media is kind of difficult right now. I have a lot of friends who are really, really passionate, and, from different positions. And there's a lot of violent images, things I don't want to see. I don't want to see dead kids.
No.
And so it's really hard to make decisions about what you want to see because On the one hand, like as a social worker, I feel like it's part of my job to witness pain. Even if it's not personal, even if it's not with a client, because, social justice is a part of our
who we are,
job.
what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, that is who we are. So I feel obligated to bear some witness to that. But I also have to be a person and,
Correct.
operate. So I have to be mindful of,
what
how
you're
do I
taking in,
feel?
what you're taking
Yeah,
in, how much you take in.
So I wrote a whole section in my book about that very thing, and I did include that caveat that you need to be informed, and I think the thing that I took away most from my short career in journalism is that journalism is about democracy. It's not about, if it bleeds, it leads, or whatever. It's the purpose of journalism is democracy. It's to keep us informed. Yeah. And that's the, whatever, on the masthead of the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. And I truly believe that. So I think we have an obligation to know what's going on. And at the same time, we have to be aware that seeing people die is seeing people die. Maybe it's different if you're there in person. Yeah, sure, it is. But it's still a trauma. It is still a trauma. I can still remember images from, decades ago. I remember an image from Syria in 2012, I think.
Yeah.
Of a nursing baby, because I was nursing my baby at the time. So,
and certain things in our mind, certain things get burned into our mind, certain images. I want to pivot over to
I know
to Spence. I want to pivot to Spence real quick. So Spence, a couple of different things. Me and you can talk real quick. Do you ever get overwhelmed from like seeing all these images on stuff? Because I remember specifically, right, me and you were in Minnesota during the George Floyd thing, right? We went to the site where it all happened. We've seen it 50 million times, the police video, I can't breathe. Like we've seen it over and over. And then we went to that site and me, you, Pops, and Salim, like, it wasn't fun, but it was something, the pilgrimage that we had to do to show our support. Mm-hmm. I want you to maybe talk about that and any feelings that came up, but then also, did you get overwhelmed by like certain images and like if you're taking too much or like any of the grimy stuff that happens in the world? I don't know. Me and you just talking now. What do you think?
Yeah. For me, I mean, especially when we talk about the George Floyd monument and just the mural and everything, it's always interesting kind of seeing how other people are kind of reacting at that moment. I mean, by the time that we went, it was a little bit more calm, I would say.
Yeah.
Then obviously when everything first happened, and so overwhelmed in a way, I would say. Depends. I mean, since it's like it was such a close to home thing, that was especially because I was like I want to say I was like I'm a few blocks away from the George where everything happened, and so it was overwhelming just for the fact of like just everyone's reaction and stuff like that, and angry, sad, frustrated, so many different emotions kind of happening all at once. But at the same time, I'm also I want to also make sure that that people don't do like stupid shit to cause me or my family harm. And so and of course it didn't get to that point at all, luckily, because it was further away enough to where I didn't have to worry about any of that, but you always kind of have that in the back of your mind of what's happening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because because some people take advantage of of something so tragic that happened. And so that's how I kind of feel. And then when it comes to just in the world in general, I know I don't have much control over what happens, so I try not to push myself to the point where it's like I have to worry about this and I can't get sleep over it, because at the end of the day, it's not. I live in a place where I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and I don't watch the news like at all. Maybe like local news or something like that. And you know what? I'm happy that way personally. And that may come off like selfish and things like that, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I can't change everything that happens in the world, and I don't want to, because that's not my place in this world right now. Yeah. And so if you feel like you want to change the world and things like that, and you want things to be different, then you can go ahead and do all that. But for me, I'm just trying to make it and make sure that my family's happy and that I can pass on something to them after I die. So, yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on it, right? Because the George Floyd thing was real close to home, right? People were burning stuff down and all that. But just in general, we were flooded with it on our social media.
Yeah.
For months and months. And then we were all on lockdown, so it's not like we can go anywhere. The reason why we got there later to the thing is, my father's disabled. And so I didn't want him to get sick during COVID. So it was like scary for us to go, but he's like, we got to go. I was like, you sure? Like, he's like, no, we got to go. I'm like, okay, now, this is when everyone was terrified of COVID. And so we went, and it's just a lot to look at. It's a lot to see those images. It's a lot to see all the other children that have been harmed by anyone, by officers, specifically, by people that are supposed to protect you. The atrocities that happen with these mass murders now, and we get so habituated to it, Alondra, that we just like, oh, it's fine. Like now you see so much of it, you think that it's fine, and it's actually quite terrifying because it's not fine. There's all these schools. I've got clients that go to some of these schools that got, I don't want to say the words, but that got shot up by these individuals and it traumatized. And some of them were in school, some of them weren't in school. And it's a tough life, right? Every anniversary, it's tough. Every time there's another shooting, it's tough. And anytime there's some crackpot that comes out saying that it was fake or altered, or, it's tough because then I have to re-feel that and experience that. So you were right. As we get back to it, it's terrifying. And some of us try to protect our own. I have a lot of folks that are, on the spectrum, and their hearts are so big and they want to help and they have to help. And so they'll get focused on that news and they'll be like, why am I in school? I should be doing something else. This is so stupid. I'm not creating any change. They take the world in because they can't filter anything out. And it's wonderful. And also it's immobilizing for many of my clients. And I'm like, hey, kid.
I can relate to that. I remember being in college.
Go ahead.
And having those conversations with my husband about, there's this terrible thing happening and we're just living our normal lives. Like I'm going to Safeway to buy groceries. And why am I doing this stupid shit when there's really terrible things and people need help and nobody's doing anything about it? I feel that way every time something big happens, or every time something happens to people I know personally. I feel like
magnetized.
Yeah, what are we supposed to do? The thing I keep asking my husband, and I don't know, you might want to cut this part if
whatever
my political statement isn't good, but like I keep asking my husband, like, how many days is Israel going to bomb Gaza? Like, are they going to stop? Because nobody's doing shit about it. So were they just going to keep doing it, I guess? And what are we supposed to do? And he tells me what you've said, Spence, is like, we can't, what are we going to do? Nothing that I say is going to influence our country to do something. And that's a very frustrating feeling because I want that power. I want the power to make good things happen.
You don't want to see suffering. No one wants to see this shit and the humans treating humans inhumane. And yet we have to. And some of you are awesome. And I see you posting and talking and putting up things. That does create some type of change and pressure on other folks to be like, hey, this is an issue. It's been hundreds of years. No one says anything. And so now something's being said. No one should be dehumanized. No one. And it brings interesting that you love Tom, right? The guy on the show. It makes me think of the troopers, the American military. There's documentaries. I think I wanted Spence to go with me to one of these film festival things with me. It's called like the winter thing in Winona State High or Winona State University. But you were busy. And so I took Salim. And these American troopers, they got I think there's movies about it now too with Jake Gyllenhaal. The interpreters and the consultants that were Afghani during the war. And they promised them citizenship. They promised them green cards. They promised them visas. And they had to wait for years, Spence. And they were hunting and murdering their families because they betrayed the community. Helping out Americans. They were helping Americans, right, and saving lives, but yet they were, it's horrible knowing that this stuff happens. And so that clip made me think of that. People are just trying to save people and have better lives. Yeah. And so some people make choices, some people don't. It's just so much pain in the world that, if you open up your heart too much, it'll flood you. And you, at the end of the day, if you open up your brain too much and heart too much of these things, Spence, you're going to think that Thanos was right. You're going to think that everyone needs to be controlled and submitted because humans are terrible. You're going to think that eventually what artificial intelligence is going to think and being like, y'all need to get deleted. Yeah. Right. And then I don't know if there's going to be a transformer robot that's going to be like, oh, the humans are actually pretty good. The humans need to be protected. Now the AI is going to be like, y'all are trash. It's going to be like Ultron, Spence. Like, y'all.
Sweet Death Meteor. 2024.
See? So real quick, that meteor, the size of Everest, Spence, was supposed to hit in 2040. They say it's going to hit next year, Spence. Yeah, I'm ready for it now.
I'm going to be out there with my flag.
That's the dumbest shit ever. I hate when people say that shit. Like the world should just fucking be over. Like I want to live. I don't give a fuck. Like,
okay.
I don't feel like I want the whole world to blow up. Sorry.
A lot of
I
folks
don't like that.
A lot of folks.
I don't really feel that way.
Correct.
You say that, but yet that's all I fucking see. That's all I see.
I would like to get off ride.
Blow it up. Let's just start over.
But that's how a lot of people
starting over. It's over.
People believe that Thanos and things like Ultron are the way to go, Spence, because they just think that it's a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the movie, right? She's like a different person. Mallory has had this total pivot. And the thing that makes the difference is, well, she's had to fight for the kids. They've been mainly safe for a long time with just like the fear in the background. And she has to really fight to save them. And that at that moment that she's like embracing them and calling them in the forest, she finally becomes their mother. Yep. But they're this close to safety, and she can taste it, she can taste safety. And that's the thing that makes a difference. She, like you were talking about before, the Maslow hierarchy, which I also have in my book because it's so important. You can't get up there. You can't do anything else if you're not safe. You can't parent properly if you're trying to keep your kid alive. So the only way that you get the opportunity to self-actualize, like, I don't know who actually gets there, but if you're trying to get to your peak self, to have all your needs met, you can't do that in the systems that we have right now.
And so I think as we start to wrap up, that where she makes it through that trauma, she makes it through all that stuff, right? There is peace and there is comfort, but you have to make it through it. I feel like that's what a lot of folks see, is they just see all the damage. And since they see all that damaging, they think that this is not a good place to live. I'll have clients that say, I don't want to have kids to bring them in certain things because this is not a safe place. And then you have the other folks that are like, hey, actually life is pretty good. And a lot of humans are actually coexisting and doing pretty well right now. And so the thing is how can you protect those children to get past some of your traumas, to see things in a different light, right? To give them that connectedness. And the show ends up very awesome and very peaceful. The goes to fade to black and you just hear the birds chirping. The birds mean safety.
Right.
And I think that's awesome.
And the birds, I think, are representative of Mallory and the kids. There's 3 birds and they are like, what I thought of is that the birds are predictive. They tell you when there's danger. And that's what I think about Mallory. Is a very sensitive person. She's an artist. And then kids are just kids. They're automatically sensitive. It's like they're predicting the danger that's coming.
Yep, for sure.
This is outside of what I was talking about this whole time, but something that I think is really interesting about the end of the movie is that the safety that they find is a school for the blind.
Yeah.
So it's full of people with a disability that has saved their lives. So under the new paradigm that has happened with this shift of the very bad thing, it's disabled people who are blind in that case, who have created this Eden to recreate a new world. And I thought that was really interesting.
It is. Good movie, lots of trauma. And the question for folks as we wrap up is like, how do you deal with it? How do you work with it? How do you provide care to yourself so you can provide more care to others? There is ways to combat this. There is books, there is tools, there is other speakers, there's therapy if you need it. And if you're scared that you can't connect, as you said, go reach out for that. But since you're already worried about it, that's probably something that you're not going to have too much trouble with. And knowing that vicarious trauma is real. And that for some folks, exposed to too much of it can be traumatizing, can lead to dreams, nightmares, a very pessimistic view of humans, can lead you to avoid and push other people away and go to like this sunken place. And so, how do we avoid that? Or how do we, if we do go there, how do we get ourselves out of that after we take our downtime? And so I think that's what folks can take away from these scenes. And FYI, just a mom just being badass as shit and protecting her children at all costs. Also another thing, no matter what, you will protect your children. Even in the face of extreme danger. As Spence said, I'm protecting my family. I'm making sure I'm good. We're good. At the end of the day, that's what we all want to do, is protect our loved ones, friends, loved ones. So I think this was a very good example of that, parenting, autism, trauma. So I'm glad that you brought it up for us. For those of the folks that, we didn't show any traumatic scenes, so you should be okay with that. But we're glad that you all stuck around and you listened to us today. Spence, you got any seasoning you're putting on this sucker?
No, I think we're good. All right. Alondra, could you give us all your plugs for your website, socials, and your book?
Sure. Everything, you can find me on my website, and all of my socials are under Divergent Autism Services. And my books are under my name, Alondra Rogers. And the 2 that are out right now are called Thriving Together. One is a guide, one is a workbook. And the book that I am publishing in December is called Meeting Myself in the Dark, Guided Shadow Work Journal for Neurodivergent Souls. I said that all without reading it. Ooh.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you
so
for
much.
coming.
This was really fun.
Yeah. So we are going to head out now. And so check out all of our great collaborators. Every fucking time. God damn it.
Joy.
Yeah, just point up. All right. And so with that, please go check out our merch. You're different, but not less.
Not less.
Yes. All right. And with that, I'm
It's also
Spencer.
the name of a very good book.
Yeah.
Chloe.
Different,
about
not less.
autism.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Australian actress. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So I'm Spencer. That's Nas. This is Different Spectrums Podcast.
All right, everyone. Much love, much respect. And remember, take care of yourselves.
Or don't.
That's completely up to you. All right. Peace.